for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues. Guess if you ain't at the table, you on the menu. And I'm that spitter, baby. They don't want you to see, but everybody's south of Capitol Hill's rocking with me. Boys smoke the trays and ponder getting their life together. I'm comfortable with my role, so I'm like, whatever. Me, I ain't got a job, but I work hard. And you don't work hard, but you got a job. The irony is I'm judged while you feel the applause. I'm slept on, that's why I had to set this alarm. My dudes is armed, I'm armed with this arm charm. Body banging like she got that cream from Barry Bonds. Yeah,
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
That trade season is here, a real hitter with a mic, I'm everything that they fear. With that hood ain't the same, I was all on their ass, I'm level-headed. So yo, my dudes love when I spaz, and I'm so over Seattle's passive-aggressive attitude. They don't call you back, what they really saying is F you. While I'm from the same place, I move at a different pace. I prefer if you just said it to my face, damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Average dudes with they average spit, writing average rhymes, knocking average chicks. The closer I get, I can feel the people starting to shift. I'm loyal to a fault, and everybody can't come with. Rap's a rich man's game, I'm only playing with change. They bang models and singers, I'm knocking my old flame, I'm different. The crowd, I move with the chosen few. Black thoughts, I could be the front man for the roots. No diamonds and gold, I'm on my sticks and stones. If we can see your panty line, you should have on a thong. My team is strong, through this fire we forged a bond. And they already know what it is when I get on to the hearse. Party like it's December 31st. When I'm on my deathbed, I probably cracking my nurse. You ain't got the bars to compete. I'm a verbal athlete, deflating these boys so they say that I cheat. Damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Yeah. I should probably start by apologizing for the long wait, man. You know, I know I be tripping. But I'm not just a rapper, I'm an artist. And, you know, my creative process is a little bit different than most. Nonetheless, I want to welcome everybody out to the Dre's Experience. I got TCF in the building. My whole camp's here with me. I got the band in here laying this cool-ass vibe. And I'm Seattle's own. Let's get into it.
Happy Friday Eve, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday, and I am so happy today. I'm just feeling the vibes, and you know what? You guys know I'm always feeling the vibes when I'm with my guy, Big O. What up, Big O?
Bay Holiday. What's up? How are you?
I'm doing well, my friend, this morning. It's a great morning. Started off talking to some students at Seattle University. Thank you, Jasmine Mahmood. A great start to the day.
What? Trey Holiday love the kids, huh?
You know it, man. Come on, man. The collegiate, environment, it always takes you back. I know when you speak to college students, you go back a little bit, man.
Listen.
Those are the days.
Listen, if I could do nothing all day, so it's like I think people might assume there's things that we look forward to over here at Converge, or that I look forward to. But man, if I could do nothing but talk to young people and our elders all day, I would be good. Like one of the best experiences ever was Age Friendly Seattle. You know, and it was all elders, like all the joy, and that happened during the Morning Update Show. It's nothing that I'll ever be like, okay, I won't do my show to go do this. But it was like, yo, this is when the elders get down. This is like they coffee clutch. This is their time. I was like, okay, look, I think Jake came in that day on the Morning Update Show to talk to the elders and to the students. I've been talking to students all across America and all over the world. Like I could do that all day. You know, it's cool. We told these politicians, people running for office. This is all right. But these young people and our elders, that's where it's at.
You and me both, my friend. That is literally why I help convene critical conversations every month. It's like being able to be connected with them. And I was telling the youth that today. So I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, well, that's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do we got going on here? Well, it's a few things. So I've lost my controller over here. So I'm just gonna refresh on the screen. And by the way, all your D'Alessandro is out of here today. So if we got a bunch of gremlins, if we got a bunch of gremlins going on, it's because I'm sitting over here pushing these buttons. And Jake Grabrot's doing the best he can over there. You know, I'm just glad that last week we surprised everybody. You were gone and I was gone, but I sent a gratitude message to all your D'Alessandro because I was like, man, you know, run the cameras, the lights, the sounds, the graphic overlays, everything. So
she does it all. And I'll give you a moment to get yourself together because I just got to say, you guys hear me every day, Monday through Friday, talking about seeing yourself as part of the solution. And last night I was able to participate in the 30th Democrats meeting. And I just got to say, Allison Fine, one of our
Allison go hard.
That is here every single day.
Yes.
I watched her putting it down as a moderator for that meeting. There was over 50 people on the call. And I just got to say, Allison, thank you so much for sharing that opportunity with me. That will not be the last time you see me, my friend. And kudos to you for making sure that you are part of the solution. So I got to give that special shout out.
Yeah, Allison, hey, here's one thing is we get people who are whatever. Allison definitely is about that action.
Yeah.
But let's put it out there like that. Allison is about that action. You know, since Alya's gone and things are kind of discombobulated here, which she shouldn't be. She told us she was gonna be gone like a month ago. We're supposed to have it together. But let me take a step back here. Welcome everybody to the Morning Update Show, and remind you right now is a perfect opportunity to tag and share the stream. Go ahead and tag and share the stream with people who you feel could benefit from culturally relevant news and information emanating from right here in the Emerald City. And today on the show, we've got some live guests. It looks like they're in the green room. They're part of the union, so you know they're on time.
Yeah.
What I said, I was like, you need to log in, but they are there. They're ready. And that's Zion Grayle and Sarah Chirin from UFCW 21. UFCW 21, they came out, and it looks like I'm wearing their cup. This is totally accidental, but coincidental. They came out and endorsed Nikita Oliver. And you know, for some people who've been following things all along, there's probably like, a natural course of events. But for people who've been in and out, you know, Nikita Oliver has really been portrayed by a lot of people, especially the right or far right, or who knows, like the center in Seattle, the Democrats. I have no idea. Seattle politics is wild, but she's been portrayed as very extreme, very polarizing, very whatever. And to get the UFCW 21 endorsement, I mean, that really is news to us.
Yeah. You know, at the end of the day, what I love is that I see Nikita in spaces that matter. And shout out to you, Nikita. Shout out to UFCW. I'm happy that we'll be able to talk to you guys. I also really want to get into the fact that UFCW made a monumental change for the PCC board by electing 2 workers of PCC. And I know I've been so closely connected with you guys in that effort. I saw Nikita was out there as we were picketing with UFCW at PCC in the Central District. And, you know, again, I mean, just shout out, because that's the kind of change we're talking about. Get that diversity of voices at the table.
So we want to talk to UFCW and see why they're endorsing Nikita Oliver. I will say this: UFCW has been on our show quite a few times. I remember one was the I want to say QFC and the Black Lives Matter pins, and who could wear pins and who couldn't, and you know, some of the stuff going like UFC. Them guys, they stay after it.
Man,
you know what I'm saying? So we got them there. And then it's kind of light today. We got a short show for today. Tomorrow's a real amazing feel-good Friday that I'll have to do without you.
I know. I'm sad I'm going to miss it. You know, mom duty calls, man. It's
right.
Okay.
So real quick, you know, yesterday was Akasia's birthday. And I mean, what a special feeling here on set and some everything else. I hadn't seen this girl in a minute. And yesterday, let me go ahead and put this up here. So there you go for everybody. I was able to catch up with my superstar, my shining star yesterday. 24 years old, 24 years young, and on her way.
I mean, Acacia really is such an embodiment of, that brilliance we talk about in the next generation. I mean, she showcases it in every environment she's in, whether she is doing the scoops. I heard about her learning the scoops at the job, whether she is helping out on the back end with the voting. I mean, she just has been all over the place since graduating, and even before, as you kind of highlighted yesterday, with a lot of her work. So again, I'm glad you were able to connect with her last night. You know what I mean? Daddy-daughter time.
Yeah, no, and it was real important. And what else we wanted to get in here? Okay, so yesterday, and we'll play this clip here from King 5, and I talked to council member Deborah Juarez yesterday on something like totally different. We're talking about, me, man, I'm hitting up council members personally, being like, man, this gun violence thing is like, it's out of control. And she was talking about how in her district, what's going on there, some shootings and everything else. And she also brought to my attention that yesterday with the missing and murdered indigenous people, and I was like, damn, because we didn't make mention yesterday. And it was a real big day. So, this is people don't realize is like, man, a lot of some city councilmen, I have no idea. I don't talk to any of them, but there's a few that I have conversations with, and they know there's some stuff we agree on and some stuff that we don't, and that's okay. The whole point is to be able to have conversations with people you don't agree with. Like, yeah, I don't agree with you. But talking with council member Juarez, and it turns out that like Seattle, and we'll play this clip here from King 5, Seattle was like one of the worst as far as like crimes against indigenous people, but also Seattle and the state of Washington has been a leader in trying to figure this out. There's so many Native women and men that have been missing, have come up missing, some everything. Let's play this clip here from King 5. We'll discuss after that. Then we're going to go to break and we're going to go to the UFCW.
Mark and Joyce, back in 2018, Seattle was ranked #1 worst in the nation when it came to crimes involving indigenous women. But activists tell us things are improving, thanks in part to a rally held at this exact spot on the state capitol campus.
Hi, hi, oh, hi. Murdered indigenous women are not forgotten.
They came to Olympia calling for help solving the dozens of cases of missing or murdered indigenous women.
And let's applaud the elders who gave us the wisdom.
In 2019, the state passed a law requiring the hiring of 2 liaisons to improve the relationship between tribes and police. Standing beside the governor that day, Earth Feather Sovereign.
My adopted sister, Lisa Jackson, was murdered. And not too far after that, my niece, Eviana, she was also murdered.
She says, like usual, police and the general public did not care.
But now that we're bringing recognition to the issue, there's been more people who are interested and wondering, what's going on.
We did find a young lady who'd been missing 16 years.
Patty Gosh is one of the 2 tribal liaisons now working for the State Patrol. WSP's website has a list of all missing indigenous women and men in the state. She says it's one way the state is trying to build a bridge to establish trust with the tribes.
We had a call from a person in Canada. Their uncle had been missing since 1967 and had gone unreported. And it's basically not having trust with outside law enforcement. We actually found him.
So I feel like this has improved a lot.
Earth Feather Sovereign wants legislators to do much more, but says the progress is refreshing.
People are beginning to open their eyes and open their hearts and open their minds, and hopefully, together we could all make a better change for our tribal people.
Earth Feather Sovereign says she plans on returning to Olympia next year. She has some more bills she'd like to get passed. One would create an Amber Alert for indigenous persons, and another would create a hotline for anyone who's involved in sex trafficking. Live in Olympia, Drew Mickelson, King 5 News.
All right, and so Councilmember Juarez, she sent over, and it's crazy. Councilmember Juarez might be one of the only council members who really be on text message. You know, like when you talk to a lot of council members, they're like, they have their liaison person send you a formal email or whatever. It was like, man, she done called me a few times. I remember one time I was on KUOW Weekend Review. It was like, called my phone, like, hey, I just heard you. But the council member Juarez has sent over a timeline talking about, you know, what the city of Seattle and what the state of Washington has done in, you know, being really ahead. And so now, like, the federal government is really stepping in, the Biden administration, and you're talking about murdered and missing Indigenous people here. And actually, to do it real justice, I think that we're going to, because she's Councilmember Ward sent us a lot of information, and so we're going to package it for on air for tomorrow. But, you know, I'm very glad that she flagged this in the conversation yesterday, because this is an important conversation to have.
It really is. And it's something that I was able to witness just in that meeting I was describing with the 30th District Democrats. You know, they had an amazing tribute to not just, you know, native lands, but also native peoples. And, you know, there was a representative there that was talking about, hey, everybody was wearing red in celebration, really, of these lives and in recognition of these lives. And so, you know, to hear people really, again, as that clip just showed there, that people are starting to open up to the ideas that, you know, hey, this is a real thing. And unfortunately, you know, Indigenous women are missing and being murdered in the droves. It's definitely something we need to pay attention to. We talk about the sovereignty between, you know, Black and Indigenous folks. We talk about the fact that it's those two races, us and them, that are really at the bottom rung of so many things. And this is important to elevate this.
And we need to always remember too, and especially as we continue here in Seattle and the Pacific Northwest to embrace and live this lie of who we've never been, but we tell the world that we are. We need to remember that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And this is important. So touching on it today, but I'm going to follow back up. Hopefully, I'll reach back out to Councilmember Juarez and see if the council member might have some time this evening to discuss so we can air it tomorrow, because I want to give it its due just, you know, as to what's going on here. We'll reach out to the Washington State Patrol as well. All right. So now we've had union workers waiting in the green room. And, you know, I hope they don't go to the union representative and be like, oh, my God, the morning update show had us waiting. We demand overtime or whatever it is. But we're gonna take a short break right now. When we come back, we got representatives from the UFCW 21, and they're gonna tell us why they're supporting Nikita for 9. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own, tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury.
I am Trey Holiday.
Trey Holiday. Real quick, want to say, because see, Zion was there, but you know he works for the union, so he might have got a call. Now I don't see him in the green room. Oh, okay, now you see what I'm saying? Union life be tough, man. But before we bring in a guest, I definitely want to say, if I can get this camera right here real quick, Jake. Want to say thank you to all of our supporters out there. We really appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for your donations. Because of you, we stay on air. Big shout out to our $5 family, $5 Army. Like, you guys really keep us on air. If you haven't done so yet, perfect opportunity. You can visit where we converge /donate, or you can watch that scroll down below. Help keep us delivering this culturally relevant news and information, right?
Yeah. Great shout out.
All right, so good stuff. So, like I said yesterday, it was big press releases and everything else from the UFCW. They said that they are supporting Nikita Oliver and Nikita for 9. So I want to bring in real quick, and I'm pressing buttons and doing everything over here. This is what I'm telling you, is the power of multitasking, knowing your craft and trade or not. Let me bring in Sarah, and then let me bring in Zion, and then let me give everybody some elbow room. Hey, welcome to the Morning Update Show.
Hi, you guys.
Hey guys, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well,
How's it going?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. I'm just really excited to get into this discussion with you guys. And, we're going to hop right into it. I'm going to let both of you guys speak to why UFCW 21 has come out to say we're supporting Nikita for 9. I'll start with you, Sarah.
Yeah, thanks so much, Trey. And thank you so much for all your leadership in the community around the PCC stuff. We can talk about that another time, but just wanted to thank you and King County Equity Now for all of your work. And we're not done there. We got workers on the board, but we got to still get community folks on the board. So, I think, and I look forward to hearing from Zion, but Nikita represents a different kind of politics, we believe, in Seattle. She represents a transformative kind of politics, the kind of politics that's rooted in community. And so for us, we're very excited as the largest private sector union in Seattle. We represent grocery workers, cannabis workers, healthcare workers, the people who have really been lifting us up in this pandemic. And Nikita has also been lifting us up in this pandemic. They have been standing with our workers from day one, working behind the scenes, not seeking the limelight. And so we think they represent a different kind of politics, and we're looking forward to them being on council and working with them to make transformative change.
Yeah, I love that, Sarah, and I agree. I have seen Nikita doing the work on the ground. Zion, tell us a little bit about, why you think, UFCW 21 and yourself personally, why you guys have really come out to support Nikita for 9.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Personally, I've taken note at her involvement in outreach as far as I remember earlier in the 2000s, she was working with the Gospel Mission, and she also had another, I think it was a youth leadership program that she had either established or had been involved with. And I'm super impressed by things like that. I'm not from Washington. I'm originally from Minnesota, but while there, I'm super involved in a nonprofit organization called Ujamaa Place, which, they've expanded what they do to the point where I don't even know their catalog anymore. But when I did it, it was for people who are Black men who were incarcerated, who really had the cards stacked against them and needed to know trades and tools and stuff. And the experience I got from that program, it closely correlated with the organizations that she was closely associated with in the early 2000s. And just that alone just demonstrates the type of character that I could get behind. There are certain philosophies that I am not 110% on board with, but I would say that a lot of concepts that she encompasses closely correlate with what it is that I feel. And like I did say before, I'm not from here, so it's really good that she makes the information easily accessible, especially when you talk to her or hear her speak. There's a lot of things that I wasn't aware of, and just having a discussion with her was very inspiring. So I definitely get behind it. And like Sarah said, they both speak for the little people, the union, and Nikita. So I mean that's where those two correlate.
Well, thank you for that, Zion. And Nikita's proper pronoun is they. So I just want to make sure that we get that clear as we move forward. But one of the things that Sarah, you were just
Okay.
talking about it, and I think it does warrant a little bit of time here, is that it's monumental that, UFCW workers stood together in solidarity and continue to press for diverse representation on the board of PCC. And when we have these wins in community, it is, great to be able to celebrate them. I think there were many people behind the scenes working to get 2 workers on the board. And you are right. We have more work to do because we were also pressing for a community representative. But I want to hear from you both about how it feels to actually get some worker representation on the board of PCC. It was such a huge effort of so many of you guys at UFCW 21. Go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Trey, and thank you for that reminder about their pronouns. This was a monumental effort led by community and workers to try to turn PCC to its roots, to community, the C, in one of the C's in PCC. So this was a huge effort. It shouldn't have been that hard, just to be honest about it. We didn't feel like it was a huge ask to have a worker on the board of PCC. Central Co-op just down the street has workers on their board. So, it was sort of a shame that we had to do this whole thing. But, it's a good reminder about the power of community and workers. We believe our workers aren't just workers at work. They go home to community. And so it's our job, our union's job, all of us together to make sure that the workplaces we work in are safe. And also our communities are thriving and safe. And so, thank you to all the community advocates. We had community partners who were calling their members saying, don't forget to vote for Donna and Lorraine. We don't have the exact results, but we heard it was record turnout, which, we think that's good. We think when people vote, when a lot of people vote, democracy, we believe in democracy in the workplace and a thriving democracy. That's why this is such an exciting conversation about Nikita and PCC. So
yeah, I agree so much, Sarah. That's why I had to mention it, because I saw Nikita out there. I mean, we were all on the picket lines, at the Central District location, and it was great to be in community with you all. And I think that you're 100% right when you talk about the ways that we can bring, the labor movement and community together. Oftentimes, so many of the initiatives we're working on and the ideals that we possess are in alignment. And I've been so thankful to partner with you guys in that regard. Zion, how has it been for you to see that resilience of community connection with someone like Nikita also, who has been really there, as Sarah said, in the background, not looking for the limelight? How has that been for you as a UFCW representative?
I long story short, I would say admirable. I definitely know how hard it is to kind of, and I mean, it seemed like it wasn't very hard for them at all. But for me, it would be difficult to stay back in the limelight and just keep that composure. Um, Admirable, to say the least. Um, and am I supposed to comment on the getting the 2 members in?
Yes, please.
On the board. I wasn't sure. Um, I I had no clue until recently that they had no workers on the board. And I think this is a common problem with a lot of corporations in general. It's always kind of been the norm to keep that separation in between workers and kind of corporate um, job titles. And I almost feel like I can't say it's racial. I can say that it's classist because a lot of the lower workers and the frontline workers, we're not. I'm not a rolling in money. I'm cause barely making it. But I feel that omitting workers like me from being having a voice or having some kind of input, and not just, you know, like a city council meeting where I can go and have my time to speak, but actually in those closed door discussions. I think that's huge. So I mean, I like how Sarah said, I applaud it, but I'm a little wowed at why this is just happening, why it's just now happening.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think that, they had to ask you guys to get over 2,000 signatures during COVID in person at stores. They were trying to put the barriers up. So congrats to you guys. And thank you for coming on today to tell us why you guys are supporting Nikita Oliver for 9. We're excited that you guys actually came out and supported someone who has really shown themselves to be a part of community. So I'll just say that I'm excited for that. And it's been great to work with you guys. I know we'll continue to do work together with labor and community. So thank you guys for joining us on the Morning Update Show today.
Thank you so much for having us.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.
Absolutely. Well,
Public Health Seattle King County, Zero Youth Detention, along with our partners from across the South King County region, are committed to reducing violence and creating the conditions needed for our neighborhoods to be safe and free of crime. Too often, the response to crime and violence has been a piecemeal approach with a program here and a program there. When family units collapse, schools fail to educate, the economy fails to produce jobs, and crime rises, we've looked to law enforcement and punitive measures to save us. Nothing could be more wrong or further from the truth. Law enforcement can't shoulder all the burden or take the rest of us off the hook. We are acknowledging the lived experiences of Black, Brown, and Indigenous communities. We are centering community as the experts who can effectively identify key issues related to systems, policies, and practices that impact children, families, and communities of color across this region. Those most impacted by the issues will help call out and identify the root causes, including structural and systemic factors. 150 residents will partner with King County to develop strategies, solutions, and an action plan that explicitly addresses system changes needed and eliminates barriers to access for Black, Brown, and Indigenous folks. These residents will also identify the criteria used to measure our collective success. Simply put, we need your help as we do the work needed to make King County the safest in this country. It will take specific commitments from all of us, community members, our young people, elders, and leaders from the sectors all across this region. Together, we will get this work done. Please click the link below and sign up for a work group. Or you can recommend a co-facilitator from community for each work group. We look forward to hearing your ideas, concerns, feedback, and solutions as we build a community where all our children can be happy, healthy, hopeful, safe, and thriving.
All right. All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury. Trey Holiday. It looks like, I don't know. It sounds like you have a long and aligned history with labor.
Yeah, the thing is that UFCW 21 was my first union I ever joined as a young worker. At Safeway was my first job, 15 and a half. As soon as I could work, I was there. And so, UFCW was the first union I ever joined. And I actually did grocery work throughout my young adult career, right? And so I stayed a part of UFCW 21 for a while there. So I just got to say,
it's a most emotional spot in your heart, is what you're saying.
But also too, I think, at the heart of it, so much of labor and community is in alignment, honestly.
So I'll say this though. I just want to be clear. Maybe today, and I'm not knocking UFCW, and I, they've endorsed Nikita Oliver and everything else, but a lot of unions were designed to keep us niggas from working.
True.
You know what I'm saying? To keep us Black folks from having opportunities and everything else. That being said, lots of unions have worked to free themselves of that past and everything else. And we find that there are unions that actually are very intentional about the employment and Black people and everything else. And there's some unions, crafts and trades that are still there to make sure us niggas don't get no fair chance.
I
You know what
agree
I'm saying?
100%. That's why when you see it done right, oftentimes it's
Mm.
like that's worth that kind of, okay, I see y'all. Because I think
All right.
UFCW has been very, very intentional about that. And it goes back to what we say here all the time. For America, in order for us to reconcile with that
Yeah.
horrid past,
I mean,
and make changes, we have to understand where we come from.
I think it's important for the unions, just like everybody else, to not be a la carte and pick and choose on the history here. Because, I mean, one thing about unions is that it is romanticized in our in our history here in America. But we need to, especially right here, Pacific Northwest, everything else. But I'll say this: this morning update show's been on air for a year. The UFCW, even before the protests and everything else, when we first went on air, UFCW has been consistent in their communication with us about what they're doing and everything else. So UFCW supporting Nikita Oliver, and like I said, this is pretty big news.
It really is.
Especially on how Nikita Oliver has been portrayed by I guess other media or other whatever, that there's no way that anybody mainstream would endorse Nikita Oliver, would endorse them. And the people who bag your groceries are pretty mainstream.
Yeah, this is for me. I just think that, seeing Nikita, like I was saying, they're in so many different spaces. I think it shows a commitment to, their dedication to being connected, being on the ground, really being about the work that they are showing in their campaign. It has to be beyond the campaign. It has to go beyond all of that. And Nikita has been very relational in the way that they approach it. And so I think that that's, a testament to how UFCW is like, what we recognize that. We recognize that dedication and that intentionality. And I think this is what we ask for from all of these elected officials. I mean, we say it when they come here, it's like, how are you really going to not just be a politician? Because the ideas of, this political grandeur oftentimes does not hit people on the ground. So how are you really going to connect? That's something I'm always asking. You already know.
Yeah, no, I mean, good stuff. It would Julia Jesse, and speaking of Julia Jesse, clapback culture tonight at 7:00. And just remind, I don't have a handcrafted motion graphic for that, but Julia Jesse and Mike Davis tonight, 7:00, clapback culture. Apparently, Mike Davis is going to be in studio. He has those long locks. You know what I'm saying? They don't show up well at his home camera, so he's coming here. So clapback culture tonight at 7:00. But Julia Jesse actually had a long conversation with UFCW, and they were talking about that because it's important. We can't just skip over things and everything. Man, let's tell the whole story. That's the best thing that we advocate here is let's tell the whole story. But yeah, I mean, it's very mainstream if this union here supportive of Nikita Oliver. So let's, like I said, was also this is kind of a big deal because Breonna Thomas has been working with labor for a long time. Their council president Gonzalez's office, Breonna Thomas, was also running for this for position 9, has had lots of labor connections and relationships. And so for UFCW to go for Nikita Oliver, I don't know. We'll see her writing on the wall there. All right, so got something good here. I don't know if my dad is watching live. I hope that he is down there in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And we it was probably a year, it was definitely before COVID. I was down there in Rocky Mount. Excuse me. He had a project that he was doing. It's called Our Nation Underground. And he talked about the black cemeteries there in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and Nash County, North Carolina, and trying to get the history of these black cemeteries and the history of who was there and what does it mean and how does it relate to today and everything else. My dad's put a lot of effort into it. This Nation Underground. And I came across this on CBS this morning. This comes out of East Texas. There's actually a CBS producer who's working there. I believe it was Stephen F. Austin University. And they're trying to track the history of this family, this black family graveyard, over the past 200 years. And now it's expanded to they're trying to track every enslaved person who's there in the state of Texas. And that would usually be my hint for all you to press the button, but I forgot. I have to press it myself today.
We're sharing an update to a very personal story from a member of our CBS News team. Last year, we told you about producer Rodney Hawkins and his family's efforts to restore their ancestral cemetery in East Texas. It's one of many projects across the country aimed at preserving historic Black burial sites. Rodney is also digging deeper into his family's past with the help of researchers at Stephen F. Austin State University. Their ambitious goal, find records of every enslaved person in Texas before and after they were freed in 1865. As Rodney shows us, it could help millions trace their ancestry.
Let us all pray together.
What started as a simple search for family history a year ago is becoming a multi-generational journey of self-discovery.
Good to see you.
Family members came from all over the country to complete the restoration of our nearly 2-century-old cemetery, Old Mount Gilead, like my great-uncle Billy Curl from Los Angeles.
This is the one that I was named after. Bill Curl, that's my namesake.
Bill Curl, a sharecropper, was my great-great-grandfather. Last year, we found his grave, bringing to life unexpected memories for my granny.
It was wonderful. You had your grandma on there, and your grandma talked about who her parents were, and then she found her grandfather. We were then able to go and find him in the records.
Linda Reynolds and Kyle Ainsworth are digging deep into the archives at Stephen F. Austin State University.
There are 182,576 slaves in Texas in the 1860 census.
Wait, say that again.
Yeah. 182,576.
They're digitizing the records for each enslaved person registered as property in Texas. They call it the Lone Star Slavery Project. Why is it just now getting done?
Somebody has to be interested in wanting to do it. Where did my Curl family come from?
I have a feeling inside of these books, you're about to tell me a great story. We begin with the Bill of Sale from 1842. I do buy here, sell, and transfer $5,900 for 14 slaves, including Richard A. Negro boy, aged about 20 years. So if I'm thinking right, that Richard is my great-great-great-granddad.
Yeah.
I'm getting kind of emotional reading this, just because, I'm sorry. Despite this being a document that shows my ancestor as an asset, it still documents that he existed.
Your reaction is the whole reason to do the research.
They found many more priceless documents. We shared them with some of Richard's oldest living descendants, my granny, Curl and Hurd, great aunt, Ironell Maxey, and great uncle, Billy Curl. This is the first document, starting with the Bill of Sale.
There are two things. One is I want to cry, and I'm trying my best not to. And the second one is that's my slave name. I'd like to know what my African name is.
I don't know. I'm speechless.
I don't know. I have a history now.
It's not even understandable.
These documents, including Richard's 1867 voter registration, help us understand how far we've come and how far we have yet to go.
I remember going to the polls with my father. He had to recite the alphabet before they would let him vote.
That's humiliating.
And he did it and paid $2 for his poll tax. I'll never forget that.
We're restoring the cemetery to honor our ancestors who endured for us to be here.
Oh, pretty.
My cousin, Sonny Tomlin Seitz, drove from Houston to thank them.
It's just special to be able to pay respect.
Right.
That's the thing, paying respect.
We don't have generational wealth. We're not millionaires. We're not wealthy people, but we have a home, and I call that our legacy.
There's much more work to do.
For all those who've shown up, we thank you.
And we pray we can continue to restore our legacy for generations to come. For CBS This Morning, Rodney Hawkins, Nacogdoches, Texas.
Wow, Rodney Hawkins. I mean, I just want to say kudos to you for having the courage and the tenacity to pull off this story and this project with your family. Um, to be honest, it just goes back to how important it is that we really acknowledge and pay reverence to our ancestors who went through that time of being property, chattel slaves, being mixed in with, what we consider property today, that there was deeds on your lives that were being sold and traded back then. And when we talk about the wealth of this nation, oh, it is on the backs of that time and those people. And again, I'm just caught up in the fact that right now, what really got to me is that so many of our ancestors are being recognized right now in ways that they just haven't been before. And that is a beautiful way of doing it, by going through the records, by acknowledging all of those people as individuals and human beings.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot all in one story here, but because our ancestors were considered property and because there was a dollar value and the way that this nation operates, there's a record tied to the dollar value. And in there, you heard that bill of sale. It was like $5,000 for 14 enslaved humans, and $5,000 in 1840 in today's money is $152,000. That'll let you know what big business the buying and selling of human beings was. $152,000 in today's money. There was just a bill of sale, $5,000. But also is clear, and this is what I'm saying. We've been saying it for a long time, and it's different when media people say something or even a Stacey Abrams says something. But when you just get some folks there in Nacogdoches, Texas, who talk about, like, yes, my grandfather, he had to say the alphabet. When we talk about just to be able to vote and all of these suppression tools, they had to pay a poll tax. Poll tax is illegal. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it doesn't matter if you can read or not. That's not an obligation to be able to vote. But this is all these different things that Black people endured. They're on the county level, somewhere in Nacogdoches, Texas, and East Texas. But imagine all across America, especially in the South, these tactics that were put into play to keep Black people from voting.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to it all the time. And you're right. We talk about it often here because we see the continuation of that ideology today in 2021. All of these years later, we are still understanding the suppressions that are happening, particularly because they don't want everybody to vote. We are still understanding the systemic oppression and racism that is permeating through so many systems and that showcases itself in so much data that it's not something that people can even deny really right now. And the fact that we have people in this nation that are still denying that, the fact that we have, I just heard about Idaho and now has this restrictive thing where they're not even going to talk about racism and talk about it in a way that really is elevating the truths. No, they want to suppress that too. So there's suppressions happening all over, man.
Right. And I think what people should probably always remember is that what we're seeing now is at the very formal and wide open level. This is what it's been ratcheted up to, for really be honest with you, for a lot of white America. That it's been ratcheted up to now it's like, mainstream, bright lights. But there's always been surprise. Like I said, they can't sit out in front of the ballot box now with a shotgun and intimidate you. Your boss no longer can be like, hey, nigga, I'm going to fire you if you vote. I mean, there's all these things. It was very casual suppression back in the day. Klan would go ride through town. That was kind of like the sign, like, ooh, there go the Klan. We better not go vote. You know what I'm saying? Like, people would sit there at the polling station with their guns and intimidate you. So, it was casual voter suppression. It's all good. You know what I'm saying? The good old boys come, suppress the niggas, scare them, make sure they don't vote, and move on. And now, they're mad because they're like, that don't work no more. So now we got to actually pass legislation. We got to figure out this and that. And this is something that's never stopped, though. And that's what I think that people need to realize. And we do a disservice, not only here in Seattle, but across America. And you see, this is juxtaposed. Maybe that's the term. Just this story right here between what we ran about Senator Tim Scott, and Vice President Kamala Harris, who are like, oh, America's not a racist country. You see what I'm saying? That's fine. You sit there on your big platform as a senator, sit there on your big platform as vice president. I'd much rather listen to these folks in Nacogdoches, Texas, and hear their story than hear these politicians trying to pander, talking about something that don't exist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is in the lived experience of so many people that it's something that really resonates and permeates our everyday lives. And we have to be able to acknowledge that. And I think that that's really a part of the history and the education and the elevation of our consciousness to understand that in order for us to actually have a great America, we have to reconcile with this
Tell
past.
the truth.
We have to be honest. And honestly, we see that clearly there's still issues there. So that's why that collective voice is so important. I love seeing, them looking at that deed and getting emotional as they look at it, because they're just like, man, here it is on paper. Here it is on record. You know what I mean? You can't deny that.
Yeah, and you speak of deeds and getting emotional and personal. It's the Seattle Times. We just haven't put it up yet, but the Seattle Times on Saturday, they did like a bunch of infographics talking about the housing covenants here and the exclusionary practices here. And Ruby Holland is someone who, it ain't take much. Ruby looked at that and then looked at the MHA upzoning and looked at everything else here. I mean, we have to, like, all these people here who are really here in office and everything else. And people do. I would be disingenuous to say that people don't mention this history here, but it's a byproduct. How do we make right by that? Yeah. How do you know how many people benefited? Do you know how many people have its generational wealth? And we do a lot of stuff with the Seattle Times, so I'm not sitting here and I'm trying to throw the Times under the bus or anything else. They're a supporter of our anniversary show, but imagine we talk about the Coon Cafe. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, the time they benefited from accepting advertising dollars from white supremacists. Those dollars still circulate generations later within the organization, right? And so I only bring that up because it's the Times and they have the long history. Some of these other people here, Fisher doesn't have that history. Bonneville doesn't have that history. Tegna doesn't have that history. The Seattle Times does. They have a history that extends very long. And we talk about, okay, these people benefit. Some of these people, when we talk about housing covenants and some of these exclusive neighborhoods in Seattle, sure, it's one thing to say like, oh, this deed was here, X, Y, and Z. But man, let's talk about that benefit. Let's talk about that benefit that went into your housing development, or who got excluded, who got pushed out so you could benefit, so you could live behind a gate. That's when you have a real conversation and we can really move forward.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because without it, there's this blockage up and there's this misnomer, as Tim Scott and Kamala Harris, as they both said, that is the misnomer that, oh no, we're not a racist country. We just have some racism in some little, small pockets of the country. That right there is a huge misnomer. And when you do not recognize the vile past, and really so violent and so traumatic, honestly, we're talking about, giving people syphilis and smallpox and killing off nations and killing off people. To be honest, it's very violent. And this country is built on that violence. If we do not reconcile with that, we're going to literally have that blockage up to never really move forward.
Yeah. And the best thing is, as our country, my brother Toon always says, it's our life and we live it. And, every country, all 200 and something, it's always changing. Somebody's giving up, somebody's, claiming independence. But, like 200, they all have a unique story. and it's nothing wrong. And no country story is perfect or anything like that. And even all those years I lived in Africa and all those nations there is no perfect story. It's fine. But the best thing we can always do is try to embrace our story and who we are. All right, Trey Holiday, a few programming notes here I'm excited about. And I am multitasking. That's why I'm not looking down. People are like, oh, he's got bad camera etiquette. No, I'm looking down here to my screen. So tomorrow, first of all, co-host, because you're not going to be here, Dre's recording artist and activist Dre's. Dre's has a new album dropping. He's premiering a new music video here tomorrow called Born to Win.
Man, I'm so sad I'm going to be missing tomorrow with my bro Dre's. I mean, every time he comes on, we know the energy up in the room is lit.
Man, it goes. And on top of that, but wait, there's more. All right. This is going to be a big deal tomorrow. This is almost 4 decades in the making for tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm joined by Barbara Nilsson, educator. That's me right there. Hold on, let me get that some more airtime. That's me right there. That's Barbara Nilsson. Almost 40 years ago, my elementary school teacher Appreciation Week. And Barbara Nilsson is going to be here tomorrow, and she promised to bring the most embarrassing photos of me that she could find. But it's going to be a big deal tomorrow. Barbara Nilsson. And this will tell you how grounded we are over here at Converge. Like, yeah, I really still do stay in touch with my elementary school teacher almost 4 decades later.
I love that. And, you know, I'm going to be watching the show afterwards. I'll be traveling in between. But I promise you, I'm trying to see those photos, though. I'm trying to see.
Yeah, and look at me right there. I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah, that's a great one right there to start it off. I love it.
Yeah, so Barbara Nilsson tomorrow, and it's going to be great. And we're also giving a shout out to all the teachers out there. You know, because a lot of times when we talk about education here, we're always talking about superintendent and school board. And a lot of time, man, the people who actually show up every day, no matter what, they don't really get a lot of shine. And so, you know what I'm saying? We're giving some shine to the teachers tomorrow, too.
Well, I love that. And, you know, I just got to send a little shout out about the Education Community Conference yesterday as well. Phenomenal job of pulling those folks together. And I love that it's happening during Teacher Appreciation Week. We do have to uplift our teachers. We have to uplift our educators, administrators. There's a lot of people that don't get that limelight, but they are there with our babies, dedicated to their greatness. And so just love being able to, I'm glad that Barbara's going to be here tomorrow. I'm glad that you kept in contact with her. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, no, come on, man. She was the one. She was like, man, you need to just be writing. You know, I was off the wall. I was wild, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was wild, man. Barbara Nilsson, you know, it's really dope to be able to draw a straight line, you know what I'm saying, back to an actual person. Like, you made a difference. Yeah. And that's what Barbara Nilsson was crazy, is because she was a young teacher with me, and then later on in her career as a principal, she was a principal for city council member Dan Strauss. Yeah, Dan Strauss principal. So excited for tomorrow. So if you want to have this is 2 really good feel goods in a row. Last Friday was the commitment, Alaska Airlines commitment. So and this Friday we'll have Barbara Nilsson and Dre's. All right, time to get out of here. Any last words?
Hey, you know, as I encourage those students today at Seattle University, find a way to see yourself as a part of the solution. There's a lot of great work happening on the ground. You know, first day for our intern in the building, Mr. Ibrahim.
Ibrahim's in the building.
He's
yes.
finding a way to be a part of the solution.
Ibrahim on set.
Absolutely. So you guys can too. You guys can find a way to be a part of the solution. And I'll give another shout out to Allison Fine for finding her way to be a part of the solution.
Okay, Allison Fine.
Yes. She was holding it down yesterday.
Them 2 snaps up in a circle don't come easily from Trey Holiday. So if if Trey's giving it out, it must be real.
It was real, you know it.
All right, that's what's up. So remember tonight, 7:00, Clapback Culture with Mike Davis and Julia Jesse. And otherwise, I think that's it. And so all of that being said, I want to remind you to go forward in your purpose, go forward in your humanity, And until tomorrow at 11 a.m., peace. You know, I got to press the button myself.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day.